What's up, GameLeap? It's the JIZZ back again, and in this video, we're going to be covering the 20 best mid laners for patch 11.5. Now, the 11.5 changes have shaken the balance of power in the mid lane, well, to some extent, so if you want to know who to play for the next 2 weeks, do not go anywhere, guys. The JIZZ is here to keep you up to date on what these red hot changes are, how much they will impact the mid lane landscape, and what they mean for you and your favorite champion. Now, if you want even more of the JIZZ breaking something down, then make use of the amazing GameLeap website. Challenger, courses, guides, videos, thousands of summoners have signed up, so get amongst the guys' links as always in the description and comment section. Alright, let's get into it. Starting off the countdown is a champion who appeared in our best top laners video yesterday, where you can also pop off with this being in the mid lane. So for those of you who love influencing the map and shrouding the map in darkness with the press of an R, Nocturne is still one of the best mid laners you can play, especially in YOLO queue. Now for top lane Nocturne, yes, you build Strikebreaker and opt for a more bruiser setup, and guess what? You do the same for mid Noc as well. And this is why Nocturne has a 58% win rate in Master and above at the moment. How good's that? So Strikebreaker into Steric's Gauge into a Guardian's Angel, and Strikebreaker this patch, guys, the JIZZ knows right called it a change, but it was really a buff because the dash range increased 50%, meaning you can apply the slow and gap close to your enemies from further away. So for a fighter like Nocturne, well, it just makes it near impossible to get rid of you. Take Lethal Tempo as your keystone, you will be paranoiing your way to W's in 11.5. Now just ahead of Nocturne, guys, we have a mage making his debut in our best mid laners series, and I hope you guys are excited as the JIZZ for this one. So after the buffs to Everfrost and Cosmic Drive in 11.4, VEIGAR has made a lot more noise, to the point where you guys can boast of having close to a 55% win rate in high elo. Now these VEIGAR masters are building Everfrost first and then Cosmic Drive, and the big benefit of the new EF is that its active hits harder and casts quicker, and remember guys, this is just a 20-second cooldown, so in extended fights around barons and dragons, or if you're sieging the enemy base, you can throw out a few cones. What's also great about the Everfrost active is that it helps you out against popular mid laners who can ruin your day. So if you think of YONE, KATARINA, ZED, the root gives you a guaranteed E, which means a guaranteed Q and W, and you can all of a sudden 1v1 these guys. Now in terms of the Cosmic Drive, you have to understand you're not buying it for the AP, otherwise you would just buy a def cap. You're buying it for the ability, haste, and movement speed, so in fights your playstyle revolves around throwing out as many spells as possible. Make sure you guys max your E second to get the most out of it, and play safe in the early laning phase and focus on farming that Q. 11.5 VEIGAR, guys, is legit. Right, that was a lot of VEIGAR info, wasn't it? So let's move on to number 18 in our countdown, guys. And unlike Mini Blue Gandalf, this champion packs perhaps the biggest punch of them all in the early game and can snowball like crazy. So if that sounds like your kind of champion, then pick Aurelia. Now surely, we all know by now that Aurelia at level 2 onwards, even at level 1 in some matchups, is very scary. Well, with mages being strong and played more, Aurelia is going to have a field day in 11.5. She might not have the best win rate across the board because she is hard to play, especially out of lane, but in lane, the chances of you winning that mid are as high as anyone else. What's interesting as well, guys, is that some Aurelias are already abusing the Strikebreaker change, and yes, you have to give up Trinity Force to do so, but the JIZZ is telling you, SB is just so broken that if you're a fighter and not building it, then you must be drunk. The active is the main reason why, of course, but even the movement speed mythic passive is useful on a champion like Aurelia. It makes you harder to chase, harder to get away from, and you just have more outplay potential. So 11.5 Aurelia, guys, for sure a strong as pick in the mid lane. Now coming in next, we're going back to the mages for this one, and this AP assassin has been one of the strongest mid laners for the whole of season 11, and 11.5 is no different. So if you want to 1v9 games, guys, save yourselves time and just pick EKKO. You like that one? Now EKKO, yeah, Lichbane and Zhonya's Hourglass, 2 core items, may have been nerfed in 11.3, but these really haven't changed much, so in 11.5 EKKO is still going to be a monster. With Hextech Rocket Belt, Lichbane and Zhonya's, this 3-item spike is tough to say the least, and at this point you'll be close to level 16 and having your ultimate every 30 seconds. Not to mention that your ultimate is one of the best in this meta in particular because damage is relentless and you can counter all that by tapping that R key. Also, with the mage class continuing to be strong, EKKO is for sure one of the best carry mids this patch. Alright, so you don't like EKKO, you don't like Aurelia, Nocturne, VEIGAR, well how about this next champion, because in terms of solo carrying the Rift, there are a few better. Now FIZZ, guys, has been one of the premier mids for ages now, just like EKKO, and the JIZZ might sound like a broken record, but you're a great counter to all of those immobile mages you're seeing these days. Even to the mobile ones, the fact there is close to 0 counterplay to your E makes you very deadly indeed. Now before you go out in your games, you have to build Sonya's Hourglass and Boosted Lucidity as your first 2 items, and then Looter's Tempest. and this is of course your mythic. Zhonya's gives you cooldown, a bit of damage and ability haste, and is also just 2600 gold. The cooldown boots give you cooldown, surprisingly, which means you can throw out more ultimates and E all over the place, and the Ludens spike is huge. You get 11 magic penetration right off the bat because of the mythic passive, and your burst is insane. So exploit this build while you can and thank the JIZZ later. Right, we're now into the top 15 guys, and if you're enjoying this series, make sure to let the JIZZ and Co know by liking the video. And yeah, number 15 on our countdown is one of those love-hate champions, but regardless of what side you are on, there is no denying he is strong. Now as YASUO guys, you will continue to benefit from the extra damage and attack speed Riot put into Immortal Shield Bow in 11.3, and with mages being flavor of the patch, you excel at weaving in and out of the minion wave, dodging skill shots and killing them over and over again. Even if you lose a trade, no biggie, a couple of Qs later and you're back to full HP. I think it's common knowledge by now as well that on Yash you only need 2 crit items these days for 100% crit, which makes your 2 item spike as big as anyone's, and yeah, just really hard to deal with. Now ahead of one of the win talkers, the JIZZ is going to throw another mage at you who is frothing the Everfrost buff. So in 11.5 guys, if you want a pokey laner and a champion that excels in the team fighting department, then NIKO is that champion. With Everfrost, think about the root in the active guys and why it would be nuts or NIKO. Can you picture it? So whatever form of CC you land first, whether that's your Everfrost active or your E or your ultimate, you are then guaranteed to land your Pop Blossom or whatever else you've got and win that fight. So if you're fighting against NIKO, it's kind of obnoxious in a way because if you get hit by just one Tangle Barbs, you're a goner. Build a Zhonya's after that guys and you have all the playmaking potential you need and potential to hard carry those teammates of yours. Now this next champion guys coming in at number 13, he's actually been a pretty underwhelming pick, but thanks to one buff in particular this patch, that moustache is going to be seeing way more action. So if you want to be the Ron Jeremy of the Rift guys and win in 11.5, KORKI is honestly one of the best picks, and that's because Mirror Mana has been buffed, and as you can see, your auto attacks may deal less damage, but your abilities are going to do way more damage, and this is ideal for KORKI because your spells, well, spamming them is what you're all about. Yes, you are still very weak until your Immortal Shield Bow purchase and even until your Mirror Mana upgrade, so put some value on your life guys and limit that number in the dev column. Scaling is your goal, and when you get to that 2 item spike, you are arguably the best late game champion on the Rift. Now can you believe it guys, we have another mage who can take advantage of the new Everfrost and Cosmic Drive buffs. But when you play AHRI guys, you can also build Liandry's Anguish and Luden's Tempest, and this is a big advantage. You know, you have a few viable mythic items. So if you're against a tankier composition, Liandry's it is. If you're up against some assassins and fighters, Everfrost. And if you just want to one-shot everyone and you're all about that burst damage, Luden's. Now after your mythic, again, you have a choice to make, which is exciting, isn't it? So you can opt for Zhonya's if you feel as if you need a bit more survivability. You can opt for Cosmic Drive to stack that ability haste and movement speed. You can opt for Horizon Focus if you want a baby Deathfire Grasp, or you can build Morellos to stop all of the enemy team's healing. So a variety of options here guys, but you can't really go wrong with any of them, nor with AHRI herself, to get around her in 11.5. Now following AHRI guys, we have another mage, but this one is more about battling it out and going toe to toe with the enemy. So if you want to bang heads and love a bit of DPS, VIKTOR is one of the strongest mid laners you can choose. Now like AHRI, you can actually build any of those mana mage mythics and make them work, and one combination you have to try out starts with Everfrost and ends with Cosmic Drive. So just like the VEIGAR build, Faker himself loves this duo of items and it makes sense. You may have your W to protect yourself from engagers, but sometimes, if not most of the time, this isn't enough. So into teams with Pantheons and Aurelias and Zeds and Leonas, you know, these close range champions, Everfrost is the ultimate counter. Now it's important to note here guys that after multiple nerfs to Viktor and his major items like Lichbane, one-shotting does not exist anymore. So you need another round of abilities to make up for it, and this is where the haste from Cosmic Drive is crucial. So being able to throw out multiple death rays during a fight is where it's at now, and that's why 11.5 Viktor is, yeah, bat. Right now the top 10 guys, here we go, and coming in at number 10 is another one of those love-hate champions, but if you want to snowball and crush the competition, who is better than KATARINA? Well, I guess there's 9 champions better, but yeah. 11.5 KATARINA guys is super OP. In 11.4, Riot decided to throw in a last-minute buff for KATARINA, so they increase your R's on hit damage, and your ultimate's daggers deal more damage based on your attack damage and attack speed. Now Riot's goal here was to bring the Kraken Slayer Bork Cat back into play, but even though the AD on-hit build becomes more viable, you see Rito, when you buff the on-hit damage in Cat's ultimate, the Nash's Tooth build becomes even more favorable, and in 11.5 this is the best build. So a bit of Nash's Tooth Rift Maker action. Get a Zhonya's after these 2 items guys and you will carve up the Rift. Now up next, coming in at number 9 guys, there's a mid laner who's been consistently at the top of the pile for ages now, and that's because she's low-key, high-key busted. So if you want to win as one of the scariest mages in the game, then play Annie in 11.5 guys. Your power spike with Luden's Tempest, like, is there a better one out there? The burst, the magic pen, the movement speed so you don't have to always flash R, it ticks all the boxes. The extra AP in Morellos, which came around in 11.4, is also great, and building this after your Luden Zhonya's core is prime. There's still a lot of healing in the game to make it hella worth, and as I said with EKKO and FIZZ, the more mages, the better. For anyone playing in a mobile versatile AP damage dealer, is there any counterplay to an AHRI, Tibbers? I think not. Now, in every top mid laners video that JIZZ has done, guys, there's always been one champion ahead of AHRI because he is just easy to play and a little more forgiving. So if you want to easily put a stop to every YASUO, YONE, ZED, AHRI, KATARINA player, there's no one better than Malzahar. Now, while every other mid laner and their items get nerfed by Rito, Mouse has kind of just hovered in place. Yes, Liandry's Anguish and Demonic Embrace copped a jab in the preseason, but that was months ago, so your Season 11 power is all still there. You have the best wave clear in the game, especially early on. You are notoriously hard to take down because of your passive, and as mentioned, all those pesky assassins that most of mobile mages hate dealing with, you can put a stop to them by pressing R. You are also just as insane at taking dragons and barons, guys, so when that 20-minute mark comes around, think of doing the purple worm. Now, this next champion, guys, has been a top 5 mid laner for weeks, months, years, no, it's just weeks and months, but she is another one of those mages who can abuse any of the mana mage mythic items. So as an Anivia, guys, you are an absolute powerhouse again in 11.5. Now, lots of high elo Anivia players are building Everfrost into melee champions, which is an idea we've already expounded, and yes, EF makes you a little tankier and the opponent easier to peel and one-shot, but you can also build Luden's Tempest if you're a damage seeker, or if you're against a bunch of meatheads, Liandry's Anguish is optimal. On top of that, the fact your E's double damage still procs when your Q just clips an enemy champion is huge, so choose the right mythic in your games, guys, according to that enemy comp, and pump them. Now, for a champion as busted as Anivia to only be 7th on our countdown, guys, well, these next champions better be good, eh? And they are. So coming in at number 6, if you want another champion that is going to burst through every resistance and one-shot anyone, then pick Diana. Now, the reason Diana has gone down just a little bit from last time around is because there are a couple of other mid laners that are benefiting more from the 11.5 bust, which we haven't even got into yet, so get ready for them. But still, with no one building magic resist these days, most enemy squishes for getting their range, and your one-shot potential and burst with your ultimate, yeah, it's just still huge. Guys, make sure you invest in a Night Harvester, Lichbane, and Zhonya's, and you will climb like nothing else with 11.5 Diana. Just make sure to ban Aurelia. Alright, we're now into the top 5, and guys, if you want to become a top 5 player in your region, you know what you need, right? You need more of the JIZZ. So in order to get some, keep clicking on our links down below. All the challenger courses, guys, and videos that you need to climb are all on there. Now, keeping a spot at number 5, guys, is an AD assassin, finally, who is going to benefit big time from a certain item buff in 11.5. So Talon, guys, no doubt, one of the strongest mid laners, and yes, the item that got buffed is Serpent's Fang. So basically, any champion with a shield or is going to get a shield, this HP protection is made a lot weaker. And think about all those champions this would be great against. You've got Yone, you've got Diana, you've got shield bow users, Guardian users, Lux, VIKTOR, Orianna, the list is endless, just like those pro guides ads that keep contaminating our videos. Keep in mind as well, guys, that in 11.4, the first part of your raid got buffed so you can clear waves easier, which was a big problem after the old Tiamat went missing, so you can shove mid and roam without Prowler's Claw and Serpent's Fang and assassinate your way to victories. Okay, now coming in at number 4, guys, is a champion that is the best setup CC utility mid laner in the game, and the safest out of all of them. So 11.5 Galio, you literally are a Colossus like the JIZZ IRL. Now what's really good this patch is that mages, yes, they are strong, so as Galio, you will win more than ever before because that anti-magic bulwark of yours. So get some Merc Treads, a Hextech Rocket Belt, and a Zhonya's, and you are good to W, as in win. Now what's quite red hot here, guys, with Galio is another mythic you can buy if your team already has a ton of damage. So you might have a Kha'Zix jungle and a Fiora top, for instance. You don't really need much AP to be useful in a comp like that, so you can buy Shirelia's Battle Song instead. The active and mythic passive gives you more engage opportunity and just adds to your utility. Either way, Galio in 11.5, guys, very hard to beat. Now the top 3, here we go, and the bronze medalist of the 11.5 mid lane countdown is a champion like YASUO who is samuraiing his opponents, and it is indeed Yone. You see, Yone, guys, is unbelievably OP right now. The lifesteal you get with Shield Bow and Bloodthirster is out of this world. As mentioned with YASUO, when you get 2 crit items, you essentially get 100% crit and not 40% because of the passive change from 11.1, and you are impossible to play against as a mage, and we've established that these AP champions will be seen more in the mid lane in the next 2 weeks. Now the Serpent's Fang buff is like an indirect nerf to you, but you're so strong that it won't affect you nearly as much as others. He's one of the most banned champions for a reason, guys. Yone is beyond busted. Right, the runner-up to the best mid laner in 11.5, guys, is the best mage of the patch, so if you don't like AD assassins or fighters, then the JIZZ has the solution. Kassadin, a 54% win rate in Diamond and above. How can you go wrong? So the 11.4 buffs to Everfrost, how many times has the JIZZ said that in this video? Yes, these push Kassadin from A S tier into God tier. The Talons, the Zeds, the Yones, the Yasuos, these champions that typically counter Kassadin are actually easy to beat once you get to your mythic, and Zhonya's also helps, of course. And with mages being back on the menu, guys, you are even more of a threat because of your passive magic resist and magic damage shield you get when you Q. And how can we forget about that Rift Walk, the ability that renders skill shots useless? You gotta love it. So 11.5 Cass, guys, there is only one better. And here it is, guys, the number one mid pick of 11.5. And as per, the JIZZ is going to throw some clues at you, and it is your job to guess who this champion is. So here we go. I am after the high seed of the YONE. And if you guess who it is from that, by the way, you have way too much time on your hands. Serpent's Fang got buffed, and I also got buffed. My W now deals more damage and gives more movement speed at later ranks, so you should now max this first. And my ultimate's damage increase at later ranks too, and this is one of the most impactful ultimates in the entire game. Thanks to that, I now have way more scaling than I used to, and my power throughout a game is unmatched. A 56% win rate in high elo, by the way. So the best mid laner of 11.5, guys, and congrats if you got it, is QIYANA. And let the JIZZ know your thoughts on any of the champions in our countdown, guys, and should the JIZZ have included anyone else. Thanks so much for watching as always, and until tomorrow's upload.